Hey everyone, welcome to a new Wizard101 video. So I'm making a new Storm 120 gear set video just because they've released a lot of gear for 120 wizards recently that has been pretty good, and I've also been farming for the crit ring, so I wanted to try to find a gear set that really makes the crit ring work well, and I think I found that. So I'm going to be showing that in this video for Storm 120. Basically this will be the updated gear set from what I looked at previously, but the previous gear set wasn't even that good. Looking back at it, it was this Storm Critical set 9 for the 900 critical, and since then I've realized that you don't really need 900 crit. This was that previous set, and it was 122 damage, and then the crit was 919. There's no real reason for you to get 919 crit, so I've kind of changed up how I do Storm gear with the critical, and I think you only need about 800. So as of right now at level 120, it does change as we get higher levels. Like once we get to 130, whenever they release, the next expansion, then it'll drop down. It won't be 800 anymore. Actually, it'll go up. It'll go up to like 820 or something. I don't know. But for right now, it's around 800. So you don't need 900 crit. There's no reason until they raise the level cap again. So this was the previous gear set. This one's okay. It didn't even have 100% power pip. So we're definitely going to be changing this up because for Storm, here's like the staple things that I want for my Storm Wizard. I want him to have 100% power pip. I want him to have 100% accuracy on regular Storm spells, and to get that you need 30 accuracy because Storm spells are 70. So 70 plus 30, 100%. And the only spell that's Storm that I use an okay amount that's not 100% is Rusalka, because it's 65%. So you could fizzle Rusalka with this accuracy, but that's only 5%. It's not too bad. But this was a previous set that we used, and I'm going to be changing that up and using a different one. So we're no longer going to be using this because there's no reason to have 900 critical. It was just kind of cool just to see how much critical I could get, even though I feel like I get more than 900 now, but it's fine. So then I created another one, Storm main set. This one was pretty good middle ground with the crit and the damage. We had 811 critical, which is 100%, so that's what we really are going for on these sets. Block and pierce, these have always been low like this, and there's no reason for me to have high block. Pierce, if there's a boss I know I need Pierce, and I switch my gear set, but just in general, I really don't go for Pierce because I don't feel like it's super useful. And the reason that I'm able to do these sets with high damage and high crit is just because I'm not soloing as a Storm. So this gear works well if you're not soloing. If you're soloing, then you're going to want block. You're probably going to want armor pierce. But since I know I'm not soloing, then there's no reason for me to go for those stats, and I'd rather put it into damage and critical. So that's kind of what these sets are based off of. They're based off of me playing and battling with other people. Obviously just PvE, not PvP. Like, these are not the stats you want for PvP, but for PvE these work well. So this is the new gear set, like the staple one that I've kind of nailed down with 129 damage and 811 crit. So it's been pretty good. Also 100% power pip. So this is the one I've been using for a long time, and this uses the boots from the Shadow Walk with the high crit, high damage, and then I was using Jack Hollows, and then of course the other thing was, what ring? I was using Night Orb's ring, which I've used for a while just because this gives high power pip and damage, so it was good. But now we're changing things up because I got the new crit ring, as you can see right here, and then of course I'll be incorporating some Professor's Hoard pack pieces of gear, because I said in a video earlier that there was basically 2 pieces of the Professor's Hoard pack for Storm that would be good, and one of them was the boots. The other things, the hat and the robe, weren't that good, but the boots are good, and the wand was also good. So we will be using those in the next set. So here we go, Storm main set 2. This is the new one that I created just to kind of even out stats and really make kind of the gear set that I want for PvE. So here we go. The damage is now 139, and I think this is kind of crazy to have 139 damage with decent other stats and 100% crit. So first we'll look at the damage, 139, and this is from the 10% with the new crit ring, which is crazy for that because that's the highest damage that we've seen on a crit ring before. So that really helps to push 140 damage on this set. And then of course I'm using my damage pet. If you had a higher damage pet, you could even get more, but then I'm not sure if you could get to 100% critical, because we're sitting at 793 on the crit. That's really close to not being 100%, because I said it needed to be around 800. This is pretty close to 800, and it's still 100%, so that's good. To get this, I've used jewels, which I'll show after I take a look at all the gear pieces. Again, the block and the armor, not too concerned with that, so it's going to be low, but I'll switch gear if I know that the boss, like, I need high block because he does a lot of damage, or I need pierce because he has a lot of resist, something like that. But I'll change it as we go throughout the battles, but this is just kind of a main set that I use for most battles. We have some pip conversion with the new staff, and then power pips is over 100%, which is what I go for, and shadow pip is there. So that's basically the main gear set that I'll be using from now on, and I just think it's really good because 140 damage is a lot with the 100% critical, because I think critting every single time as a storm is nice. Some people argue that, oh, you only really need 90% because you'll crit most of the time, but the thing about this is I want to go for 100%. I want to crit every single time regardless, so that's kind of what I go for with this set. And now it's not only high critical, it's also high damage, so that's kind of the new set that I've got. And in order to get these stats, we're using the Malister hat, which we've been using for a long time. The other option is this, but it doesn't really have like as many stats as many good stats as the Malister hat. It's mostly crit here and it's the same damage anyway, so I really just like the Malister one. The robe, it's always been the Malister one. This robe is just so good, as I mentioned many times, so keep using that if you're Storm. And then we switched to Halston Stormy slippers for the boots. These boots are really good because they're high crit, decent damage, and they also give the power pip and the resist. So these boots are good. They're from the Professor's Hoard pack, and this gear drops fairly often, so it's not that hard to get. And for 120, I think these are good for Storm because it really helps to push a lot of crit and decent damage. The comparable boots to these are going to be the Time Warden's ones, and these give more crit than the Time Wardens. I was surprised by it because these were the crit boots to go for in Mirage. These are from the Shadow Walk, and I farmed a lot to get these, but turns out that there is always a better piece of gear out there somewhere. And I mean, there isn't now, because if you have the Halston Stormy slippers, those are the best. Unless you want to go for damage, then I guess you'd be like, okay, I want the Time Warden. But for what I'm going for, I think these are really good, and I will be switching out the Time Wardens for Halston's Stormy slippers. So there we go. Good job, Halston, with the high stat pieces of gear. But next up, we have the wand, which gives 87 crit and 18% damage. It also gives a little bit of the new power pip conversion. So for this, I was comparing it to Ione's wand because they give the same damage, which is crazy, because I remember when I crafted this, I was like, okay, I want to craft the new wand because it's the highest damage wand for Storm in the game. Guess what? Now it's not, because Headmaster Skystaff also gives 18% damage for Storm, and it has more crit. 50 crit on this one, 87 crit on the new one. So that is just crazy. They keep pushing with more better stats with each new pack. I mean, some packs don't have good gear. Professor's Hoard pack has good gear, so that's why I really like the pack, just in general. And this one gives some pierce, but of course we're not going for pierce, so I don't really care. I'm fine dropping the pierce to get more critical and that damage. I mean, if we switch to this one, I don't think we'll be at 100% anymore. Let's look. No, we're at 92. See, that's the difference there. Just having that extra crit from the new wand makes a lot of difference. So I'm gonna lock this too, just in case. But there you go. That's why it's a good staff to use from now on. So I'll be using that. And then I've been using this for a while. It's just my crit thing with a lot of power pip as well. In order to get these stats, you're gonna need the right jewels, and some of those jewels include the crit ones, and then of course you need a power pip one. So that really helps with having good jewels on your theme. So I've been using the Blade of the Shadow Palace for a long time with my crit. The other option is this one, but this one I use for pierce, and I don't really need pierce. The only way for me to get 100% crit is to have these jewels. So that's why I've socketed those into this theme. The amulet's been the same as it's always been. Same one from Morganth. So it's just like a good one that I've been using for a long time. Here is the new addition the Monsoon Ring from the Mimic. And I wanted to make this ring work, so I found a place for it with this crit and damage set. It gives 97 crit with 15 from my jewel, so pretty good. The other really good thing is 10% damage. 10% damage on this is crazy. It's the most that we've seen. The other comparable ring to this one is the one from the Shadow Walk as well. This one's from the Shadow Walk, and this one gives 92 crit, 6% damage. So as you can see, this is just a power creep over the Shadow Walk one, and just a little better stats. Same jewel sockets, just instead of 6%, 10% damage, a little more crit too. So that is the upgrade on that one. Pet, my crit and damage pet that I've used for a long time. Pretty good pet, and it's helped me to get a lot of good stats. I mean, this is basically what I'm going for, right? This pet is like the epitome of everything I go for on Storm, which is crit and damage. So that's all this pet is, crit and damage, and that helps me to get to the current stats that I'm at. So it's nice. The mount, I'm using the Storm one, Storm Gulcher. The deck, you're gonna need to socket Power Pip with this kind of gear set because you're not gonna have enough. But it works out. It works out well. You're able to get 100% Power Pip and 139 damage with 200, or not 200, 100% on the critical. So I guess I have 200 Power Pip conversion. So maybe somehow I will get the 1%. Is that really 1%? Like, it seems super low. So you can't even get that much pip conversion right now, unless you really go for it. I don't know. But if it happens, it happens. If not, I really don't care. Like, the staff is good without pip conversion. So that is basically the stats I'll be going for right now. It even has higher resist than my old one, so not too bad. But yeah, that is what I've been working on, and kind of the new baseline Storm stats that I'll be using from now on. So that's why I called it my main set 2. I also have a boss set, which I can mention towards the end here. This boss set is basically just my pure defensive one. It still has high damage. It has 50% resist almost, and then high accuracy. It also has okay crit. Really not going for crit, but this one, 390 on the block. This still isn't really high block. Even for me going for block, it still is difficult to get block. On this set, my pet even gives block, but it still doesn't make that much of a difference because it's hard to get like a high amount of block as Storm. So this is the main reason that I don't even go for block. I mean, if I really need it for a boss that's hard and I feel like I'm gonna die from criticals, maybe I'll use this set, but it's still only 40%. Not that high of a block on that one. So this is a more defensive set, which I rarely use because I'd rather just go all out. I'd rather just go for high damage and high critical, which is the which is basically the main focus of this set. So I like it. It's good. If you guys want to go for it, probably the most difficult things to get from this set are going to be the new Professor's Hoard pack gear, which is these two, and then getting the ring might be difficult for you. The ring is a drop from the Mimic, and it was the last ring I got. I got every other school's ring besides the Storm one, so I don't know. But it is a good ring. It is. So as of right now, I think it is worth it. Even though in the other one I said it wasn't, well, I found a place for it. So now I think it's pretty good. So we'll be using that. But there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this video looking at my stats for Storm. Maybe there's going to be someday where I'm making a video on my Storm where I have 150 damage and 100% crit or something like that. Something crazy. So that's going to be it. I was going to go to a place with a mount just to see if my Gulcher was counting towards it. I think it was. Let's check. Yeah, it should be. Even though it doesn't show the Gulcher. Oh yeah, now it does. Wait, does it show the Gulcher in here? It had 3% on that. Let's go back to the Arcanum. I think it counts it, but it doesn't say it. Let's take a look. Yeah, see, it doesn't say 3%, but it counts it, so. 139 damage, that's what we're at. I mean, if there is a day when I hit 150 damage with 100% critical and the other stats are decent, because I really want to get 100% power pip, that'll be a crazy day. That just shows you the progression of Storm throughout the game, with PvE at least. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed this, if it helped you out. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you all next time.